Hello people of the internet and welcome back to another tutorial. I'm CEO for SideProducer.com and the Producers blog, and in today's video we're going to talk about sidechaining. Okay, so first off, let me say that I know that I've been away for quite some time now, and a lot of you guys have been asking about these tutorials, when are they coming and all that, and I've been dying to make them, but I've just been drowned in work. So now I have a few weeks of free time, so I'll try and make as much as I can and then sort of schedule them throughout the coming months. And I'd also like to apologize for a second for this new setup. My last microphone broke, so I'm trying this new setup. I'm trying a few different things with the recording setup for the tutorials. Plus, I'm implementing the camera now, so apologies if it doesn't sound that great. Okay, so there's basically two different types of sidechaining. Now, the first one is the sort of really aggressive, pumpy sound that you get in EDM or trap music or even some DJ Mustard productions, for example. And the other one is a bit more subtle, and it's actually the one that I tend to use more often because it's sort of really transparent. You just sort of clear out some space for the kicks and snares, for example. So if you have a really dense mix, this is something that can help you actually quite a lot. So we'll get into setting up the chain and showing you how to do it in Logic, and then I'll show you the two different type of sounds that you can get from sidechaining. So I have a quick little session here. It's something that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks with a local artist. Let's jump into Logic right now and see what's what. Okay, so I have a quick little session right here from an artist called Minigun G. He's from Italy. He's really cool. I know that most of you probably won't understand Italian, but that's cool. Go and check him out. Show him some love. I'll put some links in the description or in the comments below somewhere. So I'm just gonna play the beat for a second. I mean, the whole song for a second. As you can see, it's a work in progress. The names are all over the place, and we still need to add a lot of vocals and stuff. This is just a bit from the chorus. So here we go. Voma, 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 voma. Non provare a dammi in culo, non provare a dammi in culo. Se vieni qua senti il profumo, fumo. Panette grosse come assumo, io le consumo. Voma, 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 voma. So the mix is actually quite simple. There's just a few elements, and as I said, still a lot of vocals to add, but the instrumentation itself of the beat is actually quite simple. So the main sound is basically this this silent patch right here, and I'm just gonna mute the effects so you can hear the patch itself. So then I added a bit of EQ and a bit of reverb. Just to make it a little bit more distant and a little smaller as such. Because we have the kick and 808 are actually pretty big, and so I'll play those two. I'm gonna apply the sidechaining technique right now. Actually, I'm gonna show you the chain first, just so you can sort of get your head around that. So you basically start from, say I want to get this kick right here, and I want that to affect the synth right here. So I'm gonna select the kick. You can do it with a snare or whatever. And I'm gonna send it to a bus, perhaps this bus 10 right here, doesn't matter. I'm gonna put it as pre-fader, so the effect of the send and the main fader are independent. And if I press Alt, and click on the little wheel right here, let's say knob, it'll set it up to 0. So we can then go into the mixer if you just press X. Whoopsie, I have a lot of stuff going on, so it's a little laggy, so I apologize for that. Here we go. This is our bus 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's it. So we're just gonna name this Sidechain. Now we can mute this channel because we don't really need the output itself. We just need to get the cue from this signal going into the compressor that we're gonna set up for the synth. So here we go. We'll get even just a basic logic compressor. Here we go. So here is the sidechain. You select the bus, which in this case is bus 10 right here. And now the kick itself is affecting this compressor. Right, so I think I have I have a preset for this. It just sort of basically turns down the release attack, pulls up the ratio all the way, and probably the knee as well. Not sure. No, just the attack, release, and ratio. So this is basically my starting point. I'll usually leave the attack as is because I want the compressor to start working immediately. The ratio is all the way up because I want the compression to really push down on the signal, and I'll then adjust my release and threshold as I wish. So basically, depending on how much sidechaining effect I want, I'll pull up or down this threshold control, and I'll time the release so it sort of pumps in time with the music. So there's a few ways that you can set up the release. There's a mathematical calculation that you can do depending on your BPMs and milliseconds that you can sort of set the compressor. You can find all this information on the internet, so it's not a big deal. Just go and look it up and you'll find it straight away. But the way I like to do it is sort of just hear it out, and now that I've been doing it for so long, I can sort of just do it by ear and almost by eye because I can see the gain reduction sort of moving. So I'll show you this right away. Actually, let's just control the threshold control, push down the threshold control, and just let's hear how it is affecting the sound. Okay, so this is obviously really extreme, so I'm just gonna pull it back, but it's actually quite good to sort of leave it to a point where it's actually compressing quite a bit, just so you can set up the release a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier to set up the release in time with the music when you have a lot of gain reduction. So let's do that. So basically, I want the gain reduction meter to sort of show that the compression is sort of going back to zero whenever in time for the next hit, basically. So it's a little bit more tricky to set it up with this sort of rhythm. Obviously, it's a lot easier to do it with, say, straight quarter notes on the kick for something like EDM, etc. But you can just sort of look at the gain reduction, and you can see that it's sort of pumping in time at this point. You can see that that by the next big hit, let's say, the gain reduction is back to zero. So again, this is actually quite subtle. You can see that the gain reduction is pulling down a lot of, it's something like 7 dB or something. Yeah, just like 6-7 dBs, but you can't actually hear it that much because the kick is big already and the synth is actually really small. So I actually kind of like the setting. Now, the next thing that you would do is sort of match the level of the compressed signal and the uncompressed signal. So if I just bypass this plugin right here, and let's just listen for the volume relationship between the kick and the synth. And now let's match it. Okay, so that's basically it. Sidechaining is actually quite simple, and this is just a really basic setup that you would use for sidechaining. Now, I'm just going to show you a quick example of just a sort of straight kick with synth, EDM type of thing, with the pumping on the upbeat. And just give me a second. Okay, so I have just a straight quarter note kick and just a simple bass line, just random simple bass line. Here we go. Right, so as you can hear, the kick is actually getting completely lost in the mix, because you have that synth that is sort of really buzzing and really noisy, and also really loud in volume. But I can assure you that volume alone won't just help. So let's set up the same compressor. Here we go. Let's set it to the right bus. Let's give it a preset, and let's time the release so it sort of pumps in time with the music. that's basically it. You know, you just have to sort of play around with the volumes and the release times, and you see if you push the release time too slow, then it sort of becomes everything is compressed and you don't really get that pumping motion. But if you just find that right spot where it feels good, then you'll have a really cool feel. And I'm saying feel a lot because that's what sidechaining is about. Of course, you can find, as the previous example, you can use it to sort of just clinically get something out of the way of something else, but in the end it's all about feel. So that's why I said that the mathematical calculations to get the release set up properly doesn't always work, because it's as I'm gonna say for the last time, it's all about the feel. So just hear it out, play around with it, and I'm sure you'll find the proper setting. Okay, so the final example is the band situation that I was mentioning earlier. Now, we're lucky that this mix right here was recorded extremely well, and so that everything is sort of in its place, and you don't really need to play around with it too much. But I'm just gonna show you what I do, what I sort of do when I find myself in these situations where I want to use a bit of side chaining to sort of create some more space for kicks and snares if I need to. I'll get my kick in right here, and let me go to the mixer for a second. So I'm gonna create the send it to bus 5, for example, put it in pre-fader, alt click, so we got volume. We're gonna do the same thing for the snare. Actually, I'm not sure if it's this snare or the other one, probably this one. Same thing, pre-fader, oi, alt click, and we've got volume. Now, whoops, selected too many things. Oh, back to 0. Okay, so we're just gonna go and find our bus, which is this one right here. Whoops, this one right here. It's really lagging now because the session is quite big. We're gonna create tracks so we can actually see it here in the edit window, let's say, in the edit space. I'm not sure what it's called in Logic. Let's find the bass right here. Let's pull up the compressor, choose the key signal, which is right here, bus 5. Yeah, and here. Now, notice, like, in this context, obviously, you don't want to hear the pumping sound. You just want to sort of remove a bit of that bass in the moment that the kick is hitting. So this obviously is way too much. So we're just going to pull it down, find a nice balance, and then I'll get back to you. And here we go. I mean, that's it. You have a really nice balance where you can hear that the bass frequencies of the kick are sort of coming through a little bit more clean. While when the bass and the kick drum are playing together, they sort of mask each other, so you'd have to go into a lot of EQ and just nasty stuff that you don't necessarily need, because if they're really well recorded, like in this case, you might not want to change the sound too much, so you just want to remove a bit of that bass from the kick when they're playing together. So in this case, I'll play it once again and just pay attention to how the kick sort of comes through, breathes a bit more, and comes through a bit more when the sidechain is enabled. And I know it's very subtle, but it's something that, I mean, it's the combination of all these small things that make a great mix. So whenever you have a bit of that side chaining on the bass, just clearing a bit of the bass from the kick drum, and then you have some really nice vocals, and perhaps the vocal is sidechained to the vocal reverb, for example, so it sort of ducks the reverb a little bit when the vocal is singing, and so it leaves more space for the vocal to come through. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can use sidechain, and I mean, just go nuts. So that's basically all that sidechaining is about. It's quite easy to set up, and it can really help you while mixing. I'll put a link in the description to download my free ebook, The 5 Mixing Techniques You Should Be Using Right Now. It's really cool. I'm sure you'll find something that will help you in mixing. And I actually think there's a little section about sidechaining at some point. I'm not sure. Gonna have to check. So having said this, let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see in the next tutorial. I'd love to know your opinions about sidechaining or other mixing techniques and stuff. If you still have issues with sidechaining or other aspects of music production, drop a comment below. Make sure to like and subscribe to this tutorial, share it with all your friends, and I'll catch you in the next episode.